All right. How you guys doing? Hello, David. Mimika, you're here. How you doing? Man, it's great to see you guys. I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm grateful you guys are here. Welcome to the Draw Juice universe. I'm Draw Juice, aka Chris Petracchi, and let's just let people come in a little bit. I'll just kind of make sure you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Let me know in the chat. My computer's running hot. All right. Let's see. Man, you guys are doing some great drawings in the group. I'm loving it. Ask me any questions, any concerns, or anything about the course. Okay, you can hear me perfect. Okay, great. Well, let's see. Maybe I'll just get started here a little bit with, I'll switch over here. With a bit of a quote that we can think about. Okay, thanks, Mimika. Glad you can hear me. The quote is that creativity takes courage by Henri Matisse, a French artist. I love this quote because I often feel like that. Do you guys feel like that? It takes courage to make art. It takes a lot of courage, right? Hey, Sampico, welcome. We're talking about this quote here, creativity takes courage. And I wrote my ebook about the battle for creativity to deal with this issue, to kind of empower you with some tools to be able to overcome obstacles when they come your way, because it doesn't matter what you're doing in life. Whenever we have a goal and we shoot for that goal, life has a way of just putting things in our way. Let me know in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a heck yes. Because that's a fact, okay? I don't know why, but it is. So if we're forewarned and forearmed, then those things can't defeat us. And that's what I love. You know, I feel that way when I think about music, because that seems more risky to me than art. If I listen to one of my favorite songs, what moves me about it, you know, is the artist's ability to get vulnerable and expose their soul, right? Talk about deep things, talk about pain, talk about loss, heartache. Hey, Sarah, how you doing? And then to be able to sing that, to put words to it and sing it in front of people, that's the penultimate of courage to me, or it's one of them. And then to sing it over and over again. Let's say you're a musician and you have to perform, and you have to sing that every night. You have to get into that space. You have to rehash that pain or that vulnerability, and that's something that, wow. You have to be, I don't know, you have to be really open and perhaps extroverted in some way to be able to do that and not have it set you back emotionally. But maybe eventually the songs transform over time to where you don't feel any of that stuff, but you can enjoy that song nonetheless. So that's my 2 cents worth. Let me check the chat. Give me some philosophy. Download some amazing thoughts to me in the chat. So anybody new here, I'm gonna be doing critiques tonight and some lesson stuff on portraits, figure drawings, all kinds of stuff. And it's just a casual place really to be if you love art. So let's see here. Checking your amazing philosophical thoughts coming up. All right, tonight I wanted to talk about something, and it's called the glabella. Anybody know what that is? Let me know in the chat. The the glabella. Who knows what that is? Silence, crickets. Okay. Well, let's explore this, because the glabella is crucial to, it's right in the center of the face. And let's look at the skull, because we have to look at the skull for this. Front, side. And let me point out where that is. What it is. The glabella is this region right here. You see this bump? It's this. Why it's called the glabella, I have no idea. So it's right in the center of the face, between the eye sockets, connects the eyes, connects the forehead, connects the nose. So it's a really important, yeah, the space between your eyes. Sampico got it. He knows. He is in the know for this. And so, it's really, crucial to have the eye socket, right? This eye socket that you can draw like aviator sunglasses, right? You can draw these things kind of real simplified. How it fits into, here's the 3/4 view of the glabella. And then the eye socket. And let's look at where it shows up on another well-known image, David, Michelangelo's David. That's kind of where I first saw the glabella, was in this. And so it went from something kind of abstract like this to something kind of real to me. And I had this book on my coffee table. Somebody bought me a Michelangelo book. It was probably my parents' for Christmas. It was a thick book of his sculptures and paintings. And the cover was this exact face, really close up. And I saw this. How this thing kind of fit in. And, of course it's the bone, but it's also the skin and muscles, corrugator muscles over top. Right? But it's that thing that, it's a piece that's very interesting. It's like a detail that helps the structure, especially if you're drawing like masculine, strong characters. If you want something to look strong and masculine, put a glabella on it. If you want it to look angry and hulkish, okay? So you can see the central part that it plays, how it's situated. So let's kind of jump into this a little bit more. So what I'm going to try to do anyway, is have us break this stuff kind of down. Let's see if I can get this going here. I'm not seeing my Okay. So we got to do some like basic construction here of kind of the upper part of the face, right? So I'm just going to draw a letter T here and construct a bit of this for us. Start real simple and then break it down. So bear with me, this is going to take a little bit of time. But notice how I start with the letter T, because that's going to give me, you know, the symmetry, which is crucial. And it's going to give me the angle, which is crucial as well. So if I don't draw that, I'm probably not going to get a likeness, and I'm not going to have a face that lines up well and reflects the sitter. So I'm just going to build the eye sockets, right? So I'm taking this brow and I'm drawing a kind of a 3/4 view. So if I take that and just bring this around, I can block this in real light. Okay, let's see where we are here. So we got the front of the cheek, top of the cheek, and then we can kind of bring in where that nose is going to be, where the eyes are going to be. And maybe we can call up that, let's call up the skull so we can see sort of what I'm referring to. Oops, got this sucker. Put this up here. Okay. Drawing the skull is good. I don't draw enough skulls. Okay. So far, so good. Hello, Maggie. What's going on? We're talking here about some important stuff. So I just want to set this up. Trying to get my pen back here. What has happened? Oh no. Okay, got it back. All right, so we have 3 planes of the forehead, and then we have this area here. It's like a trapezoid that I'm kind of constructing here. That trapezoid is this area right here. Okay, that's kind of what I'm setting up. And so notice that there's kind of an inside corner here. And it becomes the side plane of the nose if we carry it on through. Right? So it's sort of like it's the inside of the eye socket, and it's the side of the glabella, like kind of the root of the nose into the glabella. Okay. And then we have the lateral bone of the eye socket, then coming up like that. Let's draw the other side. Okay. And then we'll get the side plane of the nose on the other side, which is kind of a rhythm. You know, you can go this way with it as well. And then it has the top plane, which is somewhat rounded, but we'll draw it very structural. Something like that. Okay, because what many students, even those who've been drawing a long time, can get wrong is the placement of the eye inside the eye socket, so it feels like it's there inside, and it's well placed. So this is kind of a 3/4 view here. Okay, so we've got this set up here, and the eye, well, we've got a few things here, but this guy goes on top. Okay, it fits on top and then comes around like this. That's the glabella. Right, so the eye socket fits into that. That's what's the interesting thing about it. It's like architecture. These things fit in kind of one to another. And so we can create these overlaps. Look at that overlap right there. And it just lends realism to our drawing, I've found, with my drawing. Right? You can overstate this, you can understate it, depending on the gender, the age, and what you want to get across. We have the inside here. And then we have the eyeball. So what's interesting is that that eyeball is really just that, a sphere. And notice how it really is very snug to this bone right here. So it's the top part of the eye socket. And you'll see that bone in many people. It'll be very pronounced. Okay. So I love this. I appreciate this a lot. And the more I know about it, the easier it is to sort of draw eyes. Because I'm not just drawing eyes and eyelashes and pupils. I'm drawing I'm constructing them. And then the more I construct them, the easier it seems to be to make the eyes look real, because I'm not just drawing eyes. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. All right, so this is kind of like, let me put some texture on this. So this is a down-facing plane, right? So that glabella is partly a down-facing plane, and then it starts to change direction and face the light, usually if the light's on top. So you get this kind of dark shadow here and on the side, because it's kind of beveled. And then you'll get a shadow here where the forehead meets the glabella, something like that. And it can be very, very light and very, very subtle. Again, it depends on the anatomy that person has. So something like that. Okay, and I can back off on that a little bit, perhaps. Maybe it's too heavy. Okay. And so what I kind of like to, or want to point out is also, and let me just draw this again. Maybe I'll do it in dark. Is that there's a corner right here. There's a corner right there. That's why that shadow is there. And it overlaps the eye socket. See that? And then we come to the other side. And so that down-facing plane right there fits right in to the eye socket, right? The top border of the eye socket. And then we have this medial plane right here. We have the side plane of the nose. And so all that stuff is kind of interlocking. So let me give this a tone here. Right, that's usually in shadow. If you start looking for this stuff, you'll see exactly how the nose fits in to the glabella, like that. A lot of times it's just like that. It can be subtle or it can be pronounced, but you'll see it. And sometimes it's just very soft. And sometimes you don't see this much at all. Okay, so you get the shadow here on the nose. So knowing this stuff helps me explain the drawing better. And kind of understanding how it's connected. Okay, this is going to be deep shadow in here. All right, so, and then this brow is going to turn under like that. And then, so that's really starting to look, solid. And then I can pull the eyelids over. So let me just say that the very basic construction of this, I think, is worth pointing out here, is that it's really quite like, something like this. Meets something like this. So that's your forehead, kind of eye socket that the eye sockets will be built on. But it's just a rectangle into another rectangle. If you can break things down to simple primitive shapes like that, then you can start to construct, things on top of it. And already they start to feel, solid. Stuff like that. It's not like you're learning a bunch of anatomy and Latin words that you can't pronounce and can't remember, let alone pronounce them. But it's just thinking about the simple things and building upon it, Hey, Philip, how are you? So I think this is something worth knowing. Okay, and then I can kind of go ahead and pull the eye sockets or pull the eyelids over, right? The upper and lower into the tear duct, right? And then there's this line right here, it shows up a lot of times as this weird little, there's a tear duct, goes into here like this, and then there's this other line that comes like this. It's a little hook like that, right? Here's the eye, and there's that little hook like that. That's what's happening in here, in this region here, right? And so you'll see divisions in here, maybe one, maybe two, in the eye socket, and that it will help you, and then the eyeball will be, maybe it'll be a little bit bigger than I've drawn it, but it's right up in there. Everything's really snug, and sometimes that bone covers right over the eyeball. And then you get the lower lid, and then you may get another bag under the eye, depending on gravity, depending on the age, right? And so this is like really good, solid stuff. Everything very planar, You'll have an underlid right there. You'll see the top lid of the lower eye, or of the lower lid. See that top part of it. And then you can get to, this stuff in here. It's all step by step, I can draw it like that, looking the other way, right? You'll have one eye in between here, and then one eye to the edge of the face from the front, that 5-eye line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, from the front. That's how you can space and place your eyes, make sure they're not too close together or not too far apart. And then just think about pulling that lid over. And you don't even have to draw pupils and stuff. You can just treat it like a sphere. It still looks good, and just shade it. Don't get into the details. Make sure your construction is all good and wonderful. And then think about if the light is coming from, the top right, then think about, how that light is going to affect the eye socket. Where is that light going to be? Everything that's facing away, is going to get that. Kind of thing. And then it starts to make sense. It starts to feel like, oh, I can do that, You can do it. This plane here is facing away from the lights. It's going to get a modeling tone. All right, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, was this glabella thing and how it connects. And then you have, the eyebrow itself. And so that starts, I'll draw it in a blue color. That starts underneath. And then it twists over the top onto the forehead. So it's like on the forehead and then sort of inside the eye socket. So it starts inside and then twists over the top. Seems to like, ride right on the brow and sort of on top on the forehead. You can keep it just, you can make it like a triangle like that, with a little piece that curves over, ends up on front. So something like that. Just think of it like, a piece of a piece of paper you might twist, Let's see, where would the twist be? The twist is kind of like here. So that's dark. And then it twists over. So that would be your eyebrow. Starts underneath here, and then it twists over on top here. Roughly, it's just a concept. Okay. All right, so that's good for that. Let's let me just check the chat here. Yeah, Mimika says it's a great challenge to draw like this in 3D. Yeah, it is. It's not, it's not my natural way to draw, but oh yeah, Philip, I think you were in my figure drawing live stream yesterday, right? In the afternoon, my afternoon. Thanks for coming back to the Draw Juice universe. Great to have you. Great to have everybody here. So what was I saying? I forgot. Yeah. But once you start drawing this way, you realize the power of it. And I think it becomes less arduous. It cuts down on time. And it's so much more structural, so much more communicates that 3D form that we all want, right? And okay, so just leave your questions in the chat if you have any, and then let's get to some artwork. What's this? David Stocko, what's going on? Look at this beautiful, beautiful drawing. Yes. I want to check. I need to check something. What do I need to check? I'm going to check your glabella. So you can see the glabella is not that prominent in this, right? But it's very structurally sound, and there's a hint of it. So Nikolai Fechin, love Nikolai Fechin. I love his textures. I love the soft textures, the rough textures, the pencil quality, the color of the paper, you know, it's all just, man, so beautiful, so subtle, right? Yeah, it's wonderful. So, yeah, David, this looks beautiful. The eyes look great. Shape of the face looks great. How it connects to the neck, pretty good. Features look great. Hair looks pretty good. I'd like you to go a little bit darker, right? I know you want the focus to be the eyes, but you could go a little bit darker for the hair. And keep the hair a shape for the most part and a value, and then draw just a few individual hairs here and there, because if you look at Fechin's, if you squint down, it's kind of just this basic hair mass with some light, dark, okay? And then when you open your eyes up, there's only a few places where he actually goes ahead and draws the hair, and is just dragging his pencil along, right? Holding it with an overhand grip. Probably has a long piece of the lead, and then he's just dragging it along like that. Where's the camera? Dragging it like this, and he's just getting a very fine tapered line, very precise. So it's just the very understated hair, but it works because he's giving you all the detail here. And the way it works is, if you give us an area that's completely rendered, our brain will fill in the rest and will believe that it's rendered everywhere. Rembrandt did that a lot, and many other artists picked up on that. So I'd like to see in the lights a little more structure, like in the tooth cylinder area. See if I can get my pencil back. Where is my pencil? There. So kind of this, you know, what I see here. Right? It's there. It's understated though. Right? So there's that letter W underneath there. Kind of a modified W. And you can pull a plane or a line to the mouth. We can come around under the mouth and up the other side, right? So you can go to the mouth, or you can go down to the chin. So you have three options there. And I see you kind of doing that. You know, here you're going right down to there. Here it's kind of not sure. There's a question mark, right? So you're shooting a blank right there. If you're shooting a blank, it means you don't know what's there, or maybe you don't see it, but it's a little bit, there's these two things, and maybe you weren't sure, right? or maybe you just held back, you didn't want to put it in. But it's something that is there, but I think you might be unsure about it. Then the next thing is how the chin fits into the transverse part of the jaw. So the chin is fitting in, kind of like the glabella fits in, right? Or the eye socket goes into and underneath the glabella, right? The glabella is here. And it's kind of a downward facing plane. And that eye socket goes underneath it, right? So the chin is kind of the same thing. The chin interrupts the jaw, and that's why you get that shadow there, right? And then you have a chin, it has a front as well. It's like a box. And so that's why there's that shadow there, right? And it curves around more or less, it just depends. So some things to kind of add to your drawing, because, it's a little bit, it's getting there, and it could have a little bit more information in there. And then let's see how he kind of, is doing this. Like he's seems to be hatching his way here in a very beautiful way. You could see maybe there's a little bit, he's going with the form. And then the lines get so close together, it just becomes a tone, right? So the challenge is to, like you can see it here, he's got a line here, and then he's coming out with a gradation, with hatching. So the challenge is how to make those straight lines look like flesh. How do you bring these lines and have them make music? How do you take these things and make these abstract things look like skin, look like a cheek, right? Because we need the structure, but then we don't want to see, how you did it. You just want to see the end result. So, you can go this way, right? And then you can go this way, build up the tone. And then do it again, and then maybe you can smudge it. So one thing that I think beginners do is they say, okay, well, here's something light, so I'm going to go light. And then there's something darker, so I'm just going to press darker. And then there's something, even darker, so I'm going to go press harder and put my lines closer together, right? And then even more. But basically, to get to this dark here, you're going to build up the tones, And you may do it in the same direction. You may change the direction or the angle. But that's going to fill in the gaps and give you a solid value. But if you kind of come too hard at it and you get this, then it really can stick out, and it's hard to do areas like this, or like this if you come at it really heavy-handed. Right, so I see that you're doing that pretty nicely there and defining that side plane really well. Oops. So just a little thing on rendering, you know, and delicately building up. You know, you can go all one direction. Right, that's one way to do it. Or you can, like I said, you can sort of go with the form. And this is like cross hatching. So the first way is hatching, right? And this way, the second way is cross hatching, because I'm going cross contour. So if I have something like this and I go over the form like that, that's a cross contour. And if I do it, you know, like this, it's cross, you know, it's hatching, cross hatching over the form, like a cross contour, like that. I'm following the form. The other way, you know, I could do it is I could just hatch like that. And then try to change direction to show that it's a curved surface. So you could use this, you know, use these techniques on the nose, on the cheek, on the brow, on the lips, you know, and it's difficult. It takes time to build that up, you know, with straight lines. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Here, you know, it's kind of like you've got to describe this plane, you know. You kind of went this way, that could work, you know, or you kind of could go this way because it rolls from the light into the dark, and you can go with the form, right, like that. And that may be what Fetchin did. Let's see. So maybe a little bit more value, a little more description of the forms in a subtle way. And I think you could take this a little bit further. Like the lips could be a little bit darker, you know, like the terminus of the lips, not so dark, but just a little bit darker. Push your values and describe the forms a little bit more, you know, like the plane on the nose right here, right? Because it's all there. The setup you've done is beautiful. It's all there. You know, the side plane of the lip. Go a little bit further, okay? And then you can call this one, you know, like a portfolio piece. You know, there and there. That's that side plane. Since it's a, you know, a woman, it's real subtle stuff, so you gotta take the opportunity where you can to show us the form. You know, it's subtle, but make it count where you put it. And then there's a shadow there. Stuff like that. So great job. Go a little further. This one was really difficult. Yeah, a little difficult. Have a very sharp pencil. If you don't have a sharp pencil, you're going to be working against yourself, and you won't be able to maybe make those subtle transitions that you might want to and desire to. You know, like this furrow in the neck. I see that it's dark. You know, I see the shadow here. And then it comes out into, it's like a triangle. So I have this, you know, I can lightly map that out. And it goes into nothing, it goes into nowhere. So it's like, all right, I gotta have a sharp pencil and just come out of that. You know, I'm gonna start, it's darker here and lighter here. So I'm gonna start my line, I'm gonna dig in, you know, dig in, hard, soft, like the pressure, less pressure, and get a tapered shape from it. And just do a bunch of those. Just do them really gently with your very sharp 2H pencil or HB pencil. All right, and then it goes off into kind of nowhere, just trails off into a beautiful, you know, transition. And then I'm going to want to just totally obliterate that block in line that I did. You know, take my kneaded rubber eraser and just knock it back a little bit. Right, so that's the way you build up that underplane of the jaw. And then it emerges. And there's a tone on the neck, right? Same thing here. There's this part right here, and there's this muscle right here. And it's like a tube, but you can put a modeling tone on that, just so we get a little bit of a hint of structure there. There's an overlap. And that tone, that modeling tone, pushes it away because it's receding from us, so it pushes it back in space. See that? It's pushing it back in space, and then the trapezius comes out from behind. So you have the letter Y, and then you have the tone helping it out, the modeling tone. So just, you know, you have to see that and go, oh, that's what that is. It's just a tube, and I'm just putting a little shadow, and then this thing's gonna come out from behind, you know, and then suddenly you'll have a neck that's looks 3D. It looks anatomical, you know, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let me see. Let's go to the next one. We got, where's the next one? We got this one. We got this one. Okay. Andre here. Where's Andre? Andre. I don't think he's here. Okay. So let's think about this. So now this one definitely could use the glabella idea and the idea of the center line and the gaze. Now remember last time, Andre, you kind of did the same thing, but this time you improved it because you improved the tilt. And you captured the action on the tilt. That's crucial. You got that. Now, that's the position in space of this thing. But then we also have to capture the center line, which is here. And that's going to help us know where the right leaves off and the left begins, or vice versa. And it's going to help us construct things. And you kind of got yours going this way, right? And it's really kind of going this way. So your features are off, right? If one thing's off, everything's off. Just the one little mistake causes the next little mistake, and it's like a cascade effect. So your symmetry's off. It's because you got the capture the action, you got the tilt, and then you've got kind of, your basic quick start head is the oval, but then, that's the pole, right? The major axis, but then you've got this, that's center line, that's not that. That's going over the surface of the head. It's bulging out. Okay. So you kind of got this, but then this thing went this way. So they got a little bit mixed up. Okay, so just remember this very simple kind of stuff. This. Get these things first. Okay. But I love the way you did your values. Like, you took some chances here. The shadow under the nose looks amazing. Under the, the eye socket, defining those boundaries, defining the form there. Really nice. And then the eyes are sitting back in the eye sockets pretty nicely. Lips look good. So everything, this looks great in here. Nose, cheeks, all that stuff. And kind of the nice design, you resolved it well with the shoulder, neckline, and stuff. And I still see a person coming through. See, that's the neat thing. It's still you. There's still a person. And I get that feeling. And that's coming through, even though these technical things, these anatomical things, you miss those, it's still fun and a nice illustration. So another area that you could improve on is the hair, right? So we're kind of doing spaghetti hair, right? It's like the Italians. They're terrible at drawing hair, because they do spaghetti hair because they love spaghetti so much. I know, because I'm Italian, right? And so I had to work hard. Italians have to work hard, man, at not doing this. We don't want to do that, right? What we want to do is draw a shape. And I covered this last time. Draw a shape and a value, and then draw a few hairs. Now, I have a hair drawing course. You should go over to Draw Juice and get it, because I just added sections to it. If anybody bought my hair drawing course, I added sections on haircuts, different styles, and then how to integrate the hair into the skin, into the skull. I cover braids, and it's pretty cool. So, but what I wanted to say was kind of keeping the hair, less. I'm going to try and smudge this. See? Less about hairs and more about shape, like shape design. Keep it like a value shape. And then later, over top of that, I'm going to have to paint it. Over the top of that, put in a few hairs here and there. That's something that I think people really have a hard time with. We've got like a local value of like a sort of blonde hair, middle value hair. So I'm going to put it on as middle value, like a shape. And then I'm going to turn on the lights and put in my shadows and my highlights. But first I got to find that characteristic silhouette of the hair. And that's not hard. It is not hard. You don't have to draw 1,000 hairs. Draw a shape. Make sure the local color of this hair, right, the local color or the local value without regard to highlights and shadows, it's somewhere in here. It's like a dirty blonde, kind of a redhead type of deal, you know. And then once you get that, then you can say, all right, I'm going to put my darks, you know, it's darker than that. I'm going to figure out where the shadows are. Follow the form. And of course it could go darker, but I'm going to build up to it. That's just sort of a triangle shape right there. Let me check. Okay. You guys doing okay? Okay, so those are my dark. Now I'm going to put on my occlusion, you know, my really dark stuff. Like right in here. Is that my real dark? Being kind of loose with it, you know, just looking at shapes and values. And this is really the way I recommend to do it. And you can get there to super detailed, but don't start there, because you'll just end up wasting time drawing strokes and strokes and strokes of hair, and it won't look good. I want to poke a hole right in there and separate that strand of hair. So it takes time. Just looking for how, sort of like big form modeling too. There's part of this is just, what's the big impression of this thing getting hit by the light? So it's the light direction. It's sort of a roundish skull that we're dealing with, and the hair is conforming to the skull. And all that stuff. And then you go into your edges. Should bring some more color into this. But now I can start to think of, all right, maybe, you know, where are some hairs that I can show off the overlaps, you know. Got a hair intruding on the forehead there. I can show that. The rest of it's kind of grouped. But see, I'm starting to build up a sense of volume because I have some lights and darks on there. And if I show the overlaps of these groups of hair, not hair strands yet. Like this area here is overlapped by this lighter hair here. This curves around and goes under. Then I can get there. So I don't want to do a whole hair tutorial here now, because it does take time. Right, but I'll just pull, you know, a few hairs here and there just to show you what I mean. You can get, you know, a couple of hairs in there. And that's kind of like good enough. You know, and then, so if I do a couple little hairs here, that's probably a better approach. At least that works for me. Just make sure you're describing form, curls, waves, how the surface is being described, how the light is describing the surface of whatever it is, whether it's a straight passage or a curly passage. And then do some stray hairs. So there's some flyaway hairs on the edge, and they go all over the place, right? They sort of break through to the background and integrate. And I can do dark ones, I can do light ones, like little highlight things that scatter all around. And so that's that. I think you did a nice job modeling the skin. Nice job on the neck. Maybe just kind of like you did with the nose, let's give it a border right here where the shadow shape ends. And then we can darken this up a little bit, and that'll pop the chin forward. And then it gets into a sort of an occlusion shadow in here. And then it's really dark inside there. Right? So you're doing good. You can push your values a little bit more. Understand modeling factors so that you understand how light interacts with a sphere and a cube and a cone and a tube. And then you can figure out how to make that work on a face, right? Because the neck is a tube, the nose is a tube, the head is a sphere, and just think that way. Manuel Palacios, how you doing? From Mexico, welcome. That's awesome. So, and then one other thing I'll point out is that it's tempting for us to look inside and see details where there aren't any. So you're not squinting and comparing. You need to squint down and just draw what you see. Don't draw what you think you see. And so there's no pupils really to be seen in here. You're drawing symbolic eyes, what you think they look like. Just observe instead of from pure observation. Squint down and say, is it a dark thing or a light thing? And what's the shape? Okay, the shape is this on the left eye. That's the shape, right? And then it has this, and then it goes like that. I mean, I'm just drawing simple shapes, like the most simple that I can, to make it easy on myself. And that does the job, right? The brain knows what it is in context. And so you just let it work, right? You don't have to kill yourself on this stuff. So in there, it's dark and it's kind of a triangle, and that's all I'm gonna put in there. All right, Andre, great job. Okay, let's see what we got here. We got this one. Is this Maggie? Maggie G. Let me take a sip of water here. Okay, great job. Difficult photo to work from, for sure. Because it's all kind of flattened out. It's like a bad Xerox. And so the halftones in the light side, the ones that are in the light and they go from highlight to a middle light and a dark light before it goes into the shadow. So it's difficult. The information's not there in the photo. This is a tough photo. It looks like a reflection too. I can see a phone right here. So you're holding that up to a framed picture, perhaps. But you did a great job, and you informed it. You went past what the photo did, and you made it better. That's what we are supposed to be doing as artists, is taking this stuff and making it better than the photo. Let me see if I can get rid of these eyes that I did in the background. I'm going to put a layer here. Okay. So yeah, I like that. I like that subtle description of the cheek rolling away from the light. The forehead rolling away, giving us a hint of that plane on this side and on the far side. And then how you integrated the hair beautifully with some soft edges and some hard edges, right? A nice balance of edge work, texture work in the hair, in the clothes, in the eyebrows. The anatomy looks great. The features look great. And so you're getting the approval definitely on this. The eyes are good and simple. You're not going in there and putting the iris and making, the eye, the pupil and everything like that. You don't see it. It's not there. You don't need it. The only thing I would say is just back off on the teeth, like the separation of the teeth. A little bit, just on maybe this one. Just on maybe this, right? Just slightly. Break that up just slightly. And maybe it's a little heavy here. That's all I'd say. But man, 99.9% perfect. Yeah. This must be somebody you know. Maybe it's a relative, right? Because it looks like he took the picture. Somebody took the picture. So I think we're coming up on that final one for tonight. I'm just checking here. See if anybody else posted anything. They didn't. So we can close that out. So I'm thinking we have had a wonderful session tonight. Guys, checking the chat. Oh yeah, okay, Maggie says the original is a metal engraving photo. It's a challenge to draw from it. Watercolor paper. Oh, yeah, that is a lot of texture. Great job. Yeah, Maggie, great job. That is a challenge. Let me see. Just want to check the group here. You guys can, if you're new here, I do have a course on drawing the head. It's over at drawjuice.com, so you can kind of come over here and find my mentorship, boot camp, VIP. I've got several other courses, a book, and just join the newsletter. Sign up, join the newsletter, and get shout outs when I go live or if I put out some new videos, right? And then there's the Facebook group. At the very least, if you don't want to buy a course, help yourself. Get into the Facebook group. It's Master the Art of the Portrait. Link is in the description. Okay, also link is in the description to my website where you can get my course. And just get in with the community of these wonderful people. Some of them are here on the chat live tonight, and we're just drawing and growing. Maggie's growing. Hold on, something's a little bit up here. So yeah, Mimika's growing. Sampico's been growing. David's growing, right? And so it's an awesome community. So get in here and join up. You need accountability and mentorship and like-minded people, right, that are going to tell you the truth with constructive criticism. That's how you're going to grow and stay on track. Not many of us have the ability just to get up and organize ourselves and put us through the exercises that we need to do without help, right? Nobody does it alone. So you guys, thanks for a great live stream. Love you guys. And I'm going to go eat dinner because I'm hungry. So lots of love. Be good to each other. Care about each other. And I will see you guys next time. Okay, make sure to give the video a like, subscribe if you haven't, follow. But yeah, make some comments. That'll help push the video out there. All right, and we'll see you guys next time. All right, ciao, ciao. Bye.